right, everybody. Give us a hot second as we are waiting for one more person to be joining our panel today. But for everybody that's already here, welcome. Great to see you guys. Lots of interesting stuff today. While we already have some folks waiting, I'm just going to go ahead and spit out some alpha for you guys. The first one is that for our second part of this space, like we did last time, we got some juicy rewards to give out to those that come up with some fun interactive questions. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely stick around, as this will be the first time or the second time, I can't quite remember, that we're going to go and do that. Other than that, we've got a fantastic panel for you guys today. So definitely make sure to tune in, grab some snacks. Should be a good discussion here today. Feel free, of course, to ask a question in the chat if you guys got anything or request to come on the panel. The more, the merrier, so to speak. As we are waiting for a bit more folks to join into the panel, I think we can already start with some intros. Let me shoot out an invite to Daniel, so he can be pulled to stage as well. But why don't we just start quickly with you, Peter, since I see you're already here, and then we just go around the table.
Yeah, amazing. Hey guys, great to see you joining. So my name's Peter. I'm the founder of Ideal, and we're obviously hosting this space today. So we are a co-founder and VC in your pocket. We're building an AI and Web3 enabled app that allows you to get fully supported as if it was a co-founder in your pocket to validate your ideas and then help you fully launch from A to Z. So from conception of an idea all the way to getting it live. We're super passionate about this, passionate about helping everybody. We believe anyone can be an entrepreneur. So that's basically what we're all about and what we're trying to do.
Phenomenal. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Let's just pass the mic down to Lumera. Lumera, I'm not quite sure who's the speaker behind it. Is it you, Vincent?
Yes, it is.
Nice to see you, man.
Just give a quick intro about myself. My name is Vincent, leading growth at Lumera Protocol. We're a layer 1 blockchain built off of the Cosmos SDK. We are currently in testnet and with mainnet approaching soon, so be on the lookout for that. And we're very much focused on infrastructure for the general Cosmos ecosystem and ultimately for the broader Web3 ecosystem. Decentralized permanent storage and as well as AI infrastructure and allowing basically builders, researchers, any participant to, upload their AI model within the network and have anybody have access and utilization to it.
Amazing. Yeah, and for everybody that isn't aware, actually don't think you mentioned it just now, but let me just drop it anyways. You guys recently rebranded from Pastel Network, right? So maybe the name rings a bell, but I think it's worth mentioning here in case anyone thinks, I heard about them. But yeah, a little branding change. When was that? Like 2 months ago by now, or a bit more?
Yeah, it's been a few months now. We really focused on joining the Cosmos ecosystem, and we're really excited about the direction that Interchain Labs has for Cosmos.
Fantastic. All right, it's amazing to have you guys. Let's hear it from Play AI. Great to have you guys on. Rams is here as their speaker. Please give a quick introduction for yourself as well.
Hey, Eric, and everybody here. Amazing to be part of the space, and I think it's my second time with Ideal. I'm the founder, Rams, and we have our account Play AI as well. So in short, we're building the Zapier for on-chain AI, literally helping you automate anything. So that's our tagline. I would love to deep dive on it later, but very much happy to be here and meet all you folks and talk to all of you on what we're building.
Amazing. Yeah, it's great to have you guys on. Lots going on over there. So of course, we're going to dive into a lot of different topics today. But one of them has to be at least everything that you guys are doing. I know September will be a huge month over at Play AI. So don't worry about that, guys. We're gonna dive into the alpha there as well for sure. Thanks, Rams, for taking the time and being here. And then we got our final panelist, Pi3, here today as speaker. We got Pradeep. So thank you for being here, man. Quick introduction, please.
It's a pleasure, Rick, and hello, everyone. My name is Pradeep. I'm the CEO of Pi3 Network. We are an edge AI containerized solution which allows businesses and government agencies, corporations, professionals like your doctor, your lawyer, your accountant, to run AI container in their environment or for their environment and have a completely bespoke AI capability in terms of agents, models, data sets, with some very robust community services such as monitoring, risk policy and risk insurance, as well as the ability to buy and sell agents on the marketplace. So effectively, we are looking to provide a fully bespoke AI solution that includes software, hardware as needed, and the complete AI economy to power that. Very excited to be here. Looking forward to the panel. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Great. All right, guys. Now with the introductions over, just wanted to leave one more disclaimer. We have a open mic policy, which means that you don't need to wait for it to be your turn or anything like that. We'd love to hear from all of you. That's why you guys were invited. So if you have something that you'd like to weigh in on, or you've got something interesting that you'd like to share, please go ahead and feel free to do so. I know I do, and I know that the rest of Ideal does the same. So please feel free to do that if you'd like. But yeah, let's go ahead and kick things off. So we're very excited to be here with another edition. I think by now it's the third, but I can't really quite recall. We're doing them every week. So if you like this sort of event, make sure to give us a follow and make sure to turn on the notifications. Today we're talking about AI as a co-founder, but also as a co-funder. Now, this is a topic we specifically talked about a lot, but it's not necessarily something spoken about often across Twitter. It's not necessarily a topic that has been getting a lot of attention lately. So that's why we're here today, and we're going to go ahead and do that. But before anything else, let's quickly educate the entire audience that might not be aware what we actually mean when we talk about AI as a co-funder, as a co-founder. What's the principle behind it? How does it work? I see Daniel just climbed on the stage as well. So if you want to take this one and also quickly do an intro for yourself, then we kill two birds, one stone.
Yo, thank you, Rick, for pulling me up. Big fan of the open mic, so let's definitely keep it on open as we go around. I would just quickly say, obviously, I'm with Peter at Ideal. Project is to get ideas live, right? And so AI as a co-founder, I guess that's part of our central thesis when we looked to start this project last year. It was about how do we help enable entrepreneurs. The idea that we wanted to do was help everybody, anyone, anywhere, any products. And so in order to get that done at scale, it's really important to have really a transformational assistive technology. And so we've been working very hard behind the scenes to build in AI into our pipeline as it allows the scoring of ideas that people bring to us in order to help enable them, but then also how we will support them in their entrepreneurial journey, helping them, advise them what steps they need to take in a hyper-personalized way to get their idea live. So that's kind of the very key high level from our point of view. I'll let Peter jump on this as well.
Yeah, sure. So I think the fundamentals for us are the basis of support. So I think anyone that's listening, and certainly everyone on this panel, because if you are building or managing a project, in fact, anything you've ever done in life that relies on other people to help you, people are notoriously one of two things, right? They're either absolutely amazing, you couldn't do it without them, they're adding value, or they're the opposite. You know, they're actually going in a different direction, they have a different agenda, they don't have the skill set required, whatever it may be. And when you're trying to build from 0 to 100, you need support. You need certain dimensions from your co-founder or co-founding team. And one of the things that is slated as a core failure, you can have an amazing idea, you can have an amazing kind of lead on a founding level, You can have all the experience in the world, but if your co-founders aren't in the same place as you regularly enough when you're building, things can fail just on that one thing alone. So for us, it's really about looking at technology to fill the gap. And we're not saying that AI is ever going to be as human as an individual and provide all the moral support needed that you need from humans. But what we are saying is that AI in itself can be independent, ambiguous. It doesn't necessarily have emotional challenges. There's a whole bunch of stuff that AI can do and support you as a co-founder. It certainly has infinite knowledge, and you really do need that from a co-founding partner. So for us, it's about the dimensionalization of that. How can we use and frame AI as a co-founding support mechanism? And the truth is, if you have a very strong co-founder, you can move 100 times faster than you otherwise would have done. So we think that it's going to be a core enabler. And then when we talk about co-funding, again, Daniel should really be talking about this bit more than me, but there is a myriad of discussions, and I think the whole world of VC and funding is getting flipped on its head, and it's going to go absolutely nuts in the next kind of 12 months, where these decisions for funding are really ambiguous and really bizarre, and the metrics that are used and the measurements that are used to decide whether someone should be funded or not, whether they're worthwhile, are all over the place now. And we're seeing completely different, reference points being used. And we think that AI is going to help scoring. It's going to help really decide whether, capital should be deployed to an individual or not. So that's the essence of it from our point of view.
Awesome. Was giving Daniel a little bit of breathing room here in case he wanted to jump in.
No. I'm good. Let's hand it over to the rest of the panel. Please
Don't get him
pass it
started
around.
on funding. It's too early to get Daniel started on funding.
I've already made enough enemies. Pass it around.
Awesome, cool. Well, thank you guys for this introduction here. Let's kick it off. So with that in mind, right, the ethos of an AI as a co-founder and a co-funder, what does the panel think about AI lowering barriers for entrepreneurs? Do you guys feel like it is easier now to start your own project, to be an entrepreneur in Web3 and outside of Web3 than it was when you guys got started, right? Years ago when the AI wasn't there yet. What do you guys think about that?
Just to quickly speak on that, I guess, I just kind of wanted to speak on the topic a little bit earlier. I think one of the things when it comes to utilizing AI as a tool as a co-founder and things like that, I think while it is, great when you have access to all this knowledge, but I also would say that, using these more, I would say, public models, then if everybody is kind of prompting similar things, then there's almost a homogenization of ideas. And I think it really, at this current moment, I would think there's a heavy requirement on, I guess, that human influence to I guess, separate yourself from what everybody else is doing. Because at the end of the day, I think even when it comes to when it comes to funding and investing and things like that, I think a while back I was reading how, when you're asking, let's just say ChatGPT, where should I invest my money and whatnot, oftentimes it particularly scrapes, Reddit data. And so it's just, okay, just because everybody is saying all these things on Reddit, does that mean it's a good investment, right? Because there's often a lot of sentiment swings and things like that, which is not particularly, I guess, I would say, correct when it comes to fundamental investing, I suppose. And maybe there's a lot of, meme stock trading going on and things like that. And as a result, I think sometimes these AIs will make those kind of suggestions based off of that data. And it's just things to be cognizant about, I think.
Yeah, I think you're completely right there. I think guardrails are super important in this space. I mean, anyone taking advice from anybody on Reddit is probably doing themselves a life disservice, I think, rather than service. So yeah, we're pretty clear that we have our own models, and we're also layering on top of that our own logical reasoning. and some other aspects of things like evolutionary learning as well. So these are what we're very aware that there are specific issues, right, particularly in the large language models as they exist, like the big ones. And then just on the investment side, what we will do is, or what we try to think of as being more useful is actually where AI times Web3, and the Web3 component is that we are going to launch a decentralized venture capital funds. We will have retail and institutions put money into that diversified pool, and then that pool will be the pool that invests across a portfolio of different investment opportunities. And you're right, yeah, we've also got our own very specific investment algorithm, which isn't fully, I would say, AI driven. It does have AI inputs. It's also got some deterministic rules around it. But it's also then agentically deploying as well. So I think you bring some excellent points, right? Like we're not going to sit and say it's all 100% optimistic as we sit right now. Right? We do see a lot of these failures. Rick, you should probably jump to Rams.
He's got his hands up. With two hands. Hey guys,
So,
feel free to just unmute. Don't worry about it. Go for it.
No need for hands. Just go ahead. Open.
Oh, all right, cool. Just to address the original question, right? Has AI made it easier compared to years ago on building a startup? Of course, it has made one aspect of it much easier, which is to shape your ideas or realize your ideas into an actual product, right? Like previously, you gotta have a full team who's building the whole MVP. There were whole theses and philosophies around how you can build an MVP, but right now you can just vibe code it, right, and make it happen. So right now, in terms of building the initial idea into something of an MVP, that is a level playing field in the market right now. But there are still some fundamentals that are still the same, right? If you gotta build a good startup, you gotta have a good idea. That's always been the same case. Right now, even more than ever, because everyone has the tools, they're only limited by the creativity and the idea side. And the other big thing is distribution, which it has been always a tough nut to crack in terms of getting your product out there to users. And now what we're seeing is people who have good distribution are getting the advantage of being able to leverage that and build apps quickly, build some products quickly, and get it out into the market. So in that sense, it has brought more kinds of people into the startup space, and it has leveled the playing ground on some areas. But there are other fundamentals that are still the same. That has been the same over the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah, I think I'd like to add to that. I think that AI is actually redefining the entire investing thesis, right? Before it used to be first you get an MVP, then you get it in the market, then you see what the traction is, then almost all investment is based on one key metric. What's the time and money needed to get to revenue? And based on that, you assess the risk. Based on that, you value the company. If the product is complex, you have a time and cost element that's much longer. And if the product is simpler, you're looking for quick adoption. The core metrics of investing in anything is always the time cost of money. With AI, that's out of the window because time cost of money is completely different now. What used to take a month or a year could be done in a much shorter time frame, depending upon the ability. So then the other variable that you always have in investing is the team, the leader's personality, their mental fortitude, their experience, which AI doesn't really replace yet, at least. And then you have the team question. Who is your team? Where are they spread? How committed they are, which also is altered by AI in the sense that if you know how to use the tools well and you have a small team, they could be 10x more efficient than a team that does things in a traditional way. So when you think about what AI is doing to as an investor, and I sit on a few investment groups and committees, the whole conversation about time cost of money is upside down. The whole question about team and composition and experience is upside down. In fact, you almost see better progress from younger teams that are not burdened with the old ways of doing things. So you can't really any longer reward deep experience. You have to reward agility and ability to adapt to a changing ecosystem. So then really the things that are left to consider in making an investment is the founder and the founder's personality and track record. And the second is the market, the product market fit, which again, AI is changing, because if your product doesn't fit the market, you can alter, adapt much faster than before. So the same risks don't exist, that if you go down the wrong path, pivoting is going to be prohibitively expensive or impossible. So really, where does that leave us? It leaves us with two things. Does the founder have the chops to be nimble, to adapt quickly, and to adopt whatever the latest technological tools are available to bring the product to market? Do they have and the second, can they attract actual users? Can they form the distribution channels? Can they quickly get in front of other equivalent products? And it really all boils down to distribution. So when we are looking at, as an investor, we are looking at where to put our money, not as an individual, but as a group. I'm always focused on, in the last 6 months, what's their distribution strategy? How the heck is this product going to get traction? Because I know they can build it, they can fix it, they can enhance it, they can make it look pretty, they can pivot if some functionality is missing or some functionality is not desired. That's all not the barriers. So the only barrier then remains is, what's the moat around the bridge, around the castle? Are they going to be able to create some kind of a unique business proposition, either a distribution channel or some patent or something that will allow me to say that these guys are going to both get traction and will get some resistance to competitors? So that's becoming the big question, really. And when you cut through it all, at least in our thesis, that you really need to stop thinking about a lot of things that we used to worry about. CAC and LTV also don't matter as much, because frankly, your CAC is a component of how easy your software is to use. And so it all goes back to your distribution strategy. How are you going to distribute your product, and how are you going to make sure others don't copy your technology and access the same distribution channels as you?
Just jump in there, guys. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you're saying there is really interesting, and I think it's very valid. I think that people, rather than kind of resilience and adaptability being a unique trait, I think it's going to be expected. Like, people are going to be expected to pivot quickly, make changes fast, everything's just going to move faster overall. So, I mean, yeah, there's lots of validity there. And I think as well, when it comes to the two dimensions of what we're talking about, I think co-founding is a slightly more straightforward and obvious support mechanism for AI to be part of. The funding bit is more complex to whatever degree, because there's a load of judgment layers in that. And it's going to be interesting to see how it's first used to augment human decision making, and then perhaps independently. But the way that we're looking at it is to not risk big sums of money. We're talking about capital outlay, kind of micro deployment of capital. One thing I wanted to make sure that we did on this discussion was actually think of a particular dimension that doesn't seem to come up on these spaces a lot. And I think it's because all of us are in tech, right? But this is something that Daniel and I are very keen to point out based on the data and based on what we see. So we're already getting flooded with ideas because we have an activation that's kind of hoovering up ideas that we have running on our Discord. And surprisingly, we're seeing a high percentage of those ideas being entirely tech unrelated. So for me, it's quite interesting to think about this, because I think everyone on this panel, and a lot of listeners as well, depending on your age, right? The first thing you ever did in life on a venture level, a project level, or a business, or even if you worked for a startup, which I'm sure all of us would have done at some point, the first things I did in life were not tech, right? They were F&B, or they were conventional roles in, a government-related entity, and projects that I've done in marketing that didn't necessarily have tech-related outcomes. I think there's a lot of people starting up out there that aren't starting a tech venture, as in their product is not tech. And I'd be interested to hear what people think about the utilization of AI to support non-tech related industries or non-tech related ventures. Because I think that as a practical go-to support as a co-founder, I think AI is super useful when it just comes to trying to get things done quickly. Write me this, sort out this contract for me, give me some marketing copy, X, Y, Z. I think that's one of the core use cases, and it'd be interesting to dimensionalize that, the use of AI in non-tech related startups.
Yeah, I'll take a swing at it too. I'm not supposed to. I'm the host, but I just wanted to point something
Go, go,
out.
go.
So what a lot of people seem to like forget or glance over is that AI is not creative. It doesn't create new ideas, right? So at the current state of technology where we are right now, AI is closer to a CMO than it is to a CEO, right? It doesn't create your vision or your unique angle. It's not going to innovate something completely new yet, right? If it did, we would have Skynet and robots marching all over the world. So that's not where we are right now. So it begs the question, right? If we're all going to rely on AI for creative strategies instead of inspiration, what risks do you guys think that that we're going to have, that we're going to see, right? If entrepreneurs start relying too heavily on AI to do tasks that it's not designed for, or at least it cannot do yet.
I think the risk ultimately comes down to just, I guess, not standing out really, because you'll just kind of be like everybody else. There's nothing distinctive that separates you and captivates the attention of the general users. It's just like, oh, this is another thing that does the exact same thing as this other thing.
I want to go back to what Peter said about AI being used in unconventional ways, or at least not in pure tech ways. We were in a conversation with a government agency here in Washington, D.C., and they came to us and said, we love the idea of i3 containers giving us a more private and fully managed AI supply chain. But what we want to really use it for is to monitor, weather patterns and crop yield across all the farms in the country. And we want to be able to predict the kind of produce we're going to have for various different things, wheat and corn and vegetables. And we want to be able to subsidize fertilizers and water and things like that based on rainfall. So can you build something that AI can do for us, less about the anything really super technical? What they wanted was their agents who are in the field. There are thousands, tens of thousands of them that visit and work on, go visit farmers and go to the farms and check the status of their yield and crop and whatnot. And they wanted to monitor that, which is completely outside of what we normally think about building agents and building models and running models and essentially being a better Mistral, a decentralized Mistral. And this was completely different and challenged us in ways that we hadn't been challenged before. So when you start looking at people using, another use case was around using AI to provide suicide prevention among teenagers and adolescents, particularly post-COVID. There's a pandemic of mental health issues with teenagers. And what they really wanted was a model and an agent trained on how to prevent self-harm, be it minor or major. And that really required us to bring in psychologists and behavioral psychologists and pediatricians to sit together and think through how the model should work, and not what you would just, call upon ChatGPT, which does a good job, but it's super dangerous to use in a clinical setting. So there are so many use cases that are begging for answers that really aren't tech-centric. Of course, they're powered by the AI technology in the end, but people are looking at AI to solve issues that normally don't come into mind when you're thinking of building something in the Web3 space.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to hear what Daniel thinks in this regard as well, because obviously, Daniel, you've got wide-ranging experience in your life when it comes to doing projects, building things, startups, whatever. What do you wish you had X number of years ago that you have today? Because I think the fundamentals are things like this. We end up taking them for granted, right? We normalize so much quicker now than ever before. So the minute we got Wi-Fi, we expected Wi-Fi to be lightning fast and be everywhere all the time. And it's actually a miracle of technology that Wi-Fi even exists in our lives, right? So it's the same with AI now. I certainly feel like if my AI is not working, whichever one I'm using, I get annoyed pretty quickly, which is nuts because 6 months ago, 1 year ago, I didn't have anything like this capability. So what are your thoughts on that kind of dimension?
For me,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, my very first obvious answer on this is back in the day, I used to be a chartered accountant, so I'm just glad that software's eating bookkeeping, right? Like, it's a throwaway comment, but there are definitely things which are pain points. There are things which everybody needs. There are some industries which are going to get eaten quite fast. What would I have liked to have had in prior years, in prior companies? Yeah, just some of these facilitative tools, I guess, really would have been very useful. But then also the strategic like foresight, right? So planning capability has gotten a lot better now, using some of the AI tools, so we can do things in a much quicker and more sophisticated manner. I think there's still a lot more to come, right? Like particularly on the forecasting side, where business modeling, we will see some pretty interesting stuff. But those would be the first things that I would have gone to had they been around.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, if people are generally able to start utilizing AI, then it's going to be a bit of a playing field leveler, right? So whereas with a startup prior to now, you would need to have a CTO because you would need to start building out your structure and know what kind of code base you're going to use, et cetera, AI can replace that. And if you're doing something financially, you'd have to second an agency or X, Y, and Z. But now you've got AI to take care of that for you. And on a legal level, you've got AI to take care of some basic contracts or NDAs or anything else. So I think fundamentally, we're going to look back on what it was like to be a founder and have a startup and go, do you remember when we used to X, Y, Z, right? So I think one example is obviously mobile phones. Do you remember when we had buttons on phones? I mean, that's insane now to even think that you would have that right scenario. You carry around a piece of plastic in your pocket and you communicate, you press a button 5 times to get one letter on a 160 character text message. I mean, that's just insanity. And if you said that to someone Gen Z, they'd laugh at you and just go, I don't even know what you're talking about, and you're living on another planet, right? I think we're going to be in a place in a few years where we're like, do you remember we used to touch keyboards? Do you remember keyboards, the things you used to type on? Now you just think and it's there in front of you, right? These neural, whatever Elon ends up doing, because I hate punching keyboards all day, does my head in. So it's one of those things where keyboards, I think, are going to be in the bin at some point. And I think there's a whole bunch of other stuff. And I think that, Daniel, you and I talk about this as well, that starting something is going to become completely normalized. So whereas being an entrepreneur used to be for certain people with a certain amount of grit and determination, starting something now is just going to be, we'll get to a place in life when people are starting and stopping stuff within a few days because it just didn't work. And they're on to the next thing, and they're on to the next thing. And people try 100 startups in 2 weeks and just choose the one that works, right? So I think that AI is really going to accelerate all of this stuff. And some of these things are going to be consigned to the history books that you needed to be or do beforehand. So, yeah, super interesting.
Bit of a segue, perhaps, but now that we're speaking about what AI has been revolutionizing thus far and where it could go in the future, maybe now would be a good time in the conversation to quickly dive into how each project on the panel here is using AI, because of course it is a broad topic. It's artificial intelligence, and every project on the panel, I think, is deploying AI in a different way, completely different in some cases from one another. So maybe we can do a quick round and let everybody speak on how they are revolutionizing AI usage, how they're different than the last person, and maybe we can talk a bit more about that.
Hey, just maybe I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're going to go last on this one. So you guys, please go for your lives.
Sure thing. Thanks, Peter. And Rick, to your question, first of all, love the question. It's a segue for us to talk about what we are building, of course. And just to recall what I mentioned initially, what our vision is to help automate anything, right? And there's this whole idea about how the internet, it was not built for humans, it was built for agents or AI. And that's something that we are seeing right now, right? Like we are trying to deploy, through ChatGPT or other AI tools, deploy actions that can, do things for you, like that can get you results and get back to. It's not just the information part that you are seeking right now. But there is a big blocker in terms of getting it done, because the internet has these different functional pieces that are, sort of glued together with uh, very, very much of a human approach to it, because it needs someone to overlook it, it needs someone to trigger stuff, it needs someone to verify the outputs. So what we're trying to do at Play AI is to, take away all of that, to just get you to put your idea or your prompt, saying that, hey, I want to make this thing happen, and the rest will be taken care of us. Of course, it's a very, very big, vision and a very big target that we have, but we have already achieved some success in terms of creating what we call workflows or plays that can help you automate a lot of stuff on chain, whether it be automating your yield strategy, automating your trading strategy, automating getting you the latest news to your fingertips so that you can take action on top of the alpha. And these are just Web3 stuff. We've also got some Web2 stuff that connects to your daily, social accounts, your emails, and all the other daily use stuff that you might use in your work or in your home or anything. So that's what we have started off with, but on a longer frame, we want to enable anyone to create any kind of automations, whether it be on chain, off chain, and make that life easier. To get things on autopilot on one side, so they have more time and money to do things on.
I love that, especially because I'm kind of tired of like these chat agents popping up left, right, and center. Right? I think we've been there, done that. I think automations is the next step, right? Having AI actually execute. I spoke with this great company that was actually working on having an AI fully book, your trip. So it doesn't just suggest it, but it does everything. It books the flight, it books the hotel, it books your trips, it does everything for you, right? That's the automation that we're talking about, not just a chat bot where you can talk with, but it goes beyond just that, and it actually handles the doing for you, not just explaining to you how it works. Really like that. Of course, it's not what you guys are doing, but just popped into my head because of what you were saying. But it sounds really
No, of
interesting.
course, of course. Just
Yeah.
just to add in there, right? What you mentioned as an example would be one workflow that's possible on our platform. So that's what we're trying to make happen, right? Like bring together the Lego pieces, and then it's up to you as a creator to create any kind of workflow connecting these Lego pieces. And then if you have a distribution, you can basically publish them and get others to use it, and you'll start earning out of it. So that's sort of the end game that we are approaching right now.
Yeah, there's no other way. I mean, you can't have a co-founder just telling you, hey, you should do this, you should do that. An actual co-founder, if we ever do receive an AI co-founder, would actually go out and do something themselves instead of just telling you what to do. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Would love to hear it from Lumera as well, because you guys are, when you go to the homepage, AI is a big word, right? You guys are using it a lot, but it's in a completely different way that you guys deploy using AI. Would you like to explain that a little more?
Yeah, so as we kind of, or as I kind of touched upon earlier, we're very focused on the decentralized permanent storage, along with enabling users to access multitude of AI models that basically anybody can host on the network. I think for most of us, I would say like that are tuning in, probably live in countries that have access to basically almost any AI model that you want. But there are a lot of other countries out there that have restrictions on gaining access to certain models for various reasons. And so, we believe that, everybody should have access to all the different AI models, and for them to, utilize and test to figure out which is the one that works best for them. And, going hand in hand with AI and data, there's a lot of synergies in that way of, utilizing your own data and owning your own data and things like that. I think, there's been a lot of chatter as well of, your chats being publicly indexed on Google, being searchable and things like that. And, that is a huge concern. People don't want to have their data just floating around outside where, other users can just read into what they're prompting the AIs and things like that. So I think all this is really critical in terms of, having or enabling privacy as well in those ways, and ensuring that, whatever data that you decide or you're giving to the agents or the models, you have control over, what gets shared and what doesn't.
And then, just out of curiosity, you guys did start out without AI integrations, correct? Because you guys have been working on Pastel back in the day for years now.
Yeah. So yeah,
it was a buzzword.
Yes. So during when we were building out Pastel, there was more of a focus in that era towards authentication of NFTs and finding duplicates and determining whether image assets are been modified and reminted and things like that. So leveraging AI from like a content authentication form factor. And upon that, we've just decided to build and expand on that to have more additional functionality. And I mean, obviously, we also come to the understanding that right now NFTs as a whole has been kind of dead in the water, to be quite frank. But nonetheless, I think content authentication will always remain to be very prevalent, especially when it comes to the rise of deep faking and things like that. It's just like, hey, did this actually come from that person, or is it just like use their likeness in order to generate this kind of content?
Yeah, makes sense. It's important to know when to start including other types of technology, right? I mean, you can stick to NFTs, but if the market isn't there, it makes a lot of sense for the project, the investors, to move with what is currently, happening, which at this point it's definitely AI. So it's a good decision, I definitely think. But yeah, especially when you've been building for many years. There will be some changes. In your case, a completely different name for your brand, but that doesn't always happen. But it makes sense. All right, let's also hear it from Rams. I saw that your official account just disconnected, but I think you're still here, right?
Hey, yeah, I guess my doc might have got rugged, I guess. But I did speak just before this.
Oh yeah,
If
I
you
already got
forgot,
the picture.
you might want to
Yeah,
go
that's right.
through the others and then come back to me.
Pradeep, yeah, sorry, your profile picture is kind of. I don't want to say it looks the same because one is a picture of a person and the other a monkey.
I'm
That's
the
a little
monkey, yeah.
insulting, but it's the same color palette. Pradeep, please feel free to go for it, man.
Sorry, did you call
As that come around to us, right?
Did you call upon me, Rick?
Yeah, did you guys wanted to give it a shot as well on explaining a little bit on how you guys are deploying AI?
Sure. So in terms of deploying AI, we have 3 different types of containers. You have the personal container, which anyone can deploy in their laptop, desktop, and it allows you to essentially organize and create a digital twin from your life data, and you can connect it to all sorts of sources that represent your life, your email, your Slack, your Telegram. And that's really designed to give you an interface to all the agents that are proliferating, because you mentioned this earlier. We have too many agents trying to do very singular tasks, and they need a lot of context, some of it necessary, some of it not. So essentially our vision is that a personal digital twin that allows these agents to interact with you safely without probing into information they don't need to know. So that's one product, the personal agent. The second, the one that we lead with the most, is the business containers, which can be deployed in the context of a clinical practice or a dentist or a chiropractor, a real estate agent, a lawyer, an accountant, who is trying to manage client or customer data but does not have the luxury of upgrading that or uploading that to any centralized AI. It will be illegal, it will be unethical and unprofessional, and they couldn't really simply upload your patient records to ChatGPT to help with diagnosis. So for them, that container gives them a secure edge AI capability, and if they have enough compute power, they can run their own agents and models. But if they need additional compute power, then there is a third infrastructure node, the DPIN component, which is called the power node. which allows you to essentially borrow compute, hosts all sorts of models prepackaged, allows you to essentially manage the inference as a service. So they combine these three nodes, essentially serve both B2B, B2C, B2G scenarios where you are trying to build, let's say, a custom model for your farming subsidy, or you're trying to build you're trying to build an agent to do scheduling for your practice, or you want to use an agent built in the marketplace to handle your billing. All those things allow you to create a bespoke AI ecosystem that works for you. And the key underlying element of that is data never leaves your container. We'll generate the RAG in the container so that what hits the model has no identifiable protected health information, protected consumer information. So by segregating that architecture, you're able to achieve a bespoke, private, compliant AI ecosystem. And anybody can set it up very quickly. The idea is to allow a doctor to be able to stand up an AI container that they can reasonably trust to deliver diagnostic support or billing or coding or scheduling very precisely tailored to their practice. So that's what Pi3 does. And we're getting a lot of interest from government unexpectedly wanting to do this on the field or, in a very distributed manner because they have obviously assets spread around the country and they want to be able to manage programs and assets using our containers. So we are getting traction in the government, but our key focus is always the neighborhood physician, the pediatrician, the lab, the pharmacy, the coffee shop, the accountant who does your taxes. That's the market we focus on.
U.S. government or
Yes,
international?
U.S. I'm based in Washington, so I
Interesting.
tend to speak of government in the context of local. So yeah, U.S. government, federal and state.
Yeah, okay. Just checking. There's a big difference because the US has, of course, a massive healthcare system. So that is actually very interesting. If you were talking about a smaller country, it would still be, significant, but that's impressive.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
these are large scale projects. I mean, we're just talking to one U.S. agency that has 9 million beneficiaries, as they call them, or patients or citizens who have a very unique set of benefits from having served in the military or the Air Force or the Navy or the Marines. And for them, the benefits are very precise and unique, and they're very complex. So humanly, it's impossible to really deliver timely care from a variety of care models. So building an agent that would serve these 9 million patients, or model and agent can't do the job. You need custom models. Would be a significant saving for the country. Quite a zeros involved. So the point is that when we built the containerized technology, we were really focused on the small to medium enterprise, the professional entrepreneur, the independent practitioner of healthcare or law or medicine or accounting. But it sort of evolved into a much bigger use case. But we are still very focused on the individual. We're very much focused on the practitioner who has a responsibility to their patients or their case clients or their consumers and want to deliver a better experience, a better service without losing their own role in the process. So, we started off by saying AI shouldn't replace you. It should augment your life. It should improve your business. It should help you earn better and serve your clients better. So we started with the initial thesis that there are so many doctors fearful of being replaced by AI. What if we actually made AI work for them so they could be a better doctor and they could enjoy the practice of medicine instead of being fearful? So that's where we started, but then it evolved.
Really cool. Yeah, I think that's a perfect bridge to Peter and Daniel, what you guys are doing as well, right? Not a replacement AI, but an enhancement AI for entrepreneurs, enablement rather than competition. Yeah, please, guys. I think you guys fit like into a puzzle. I think you should all connect after this space. Honestly, there's a lot of synergies there. But Daniel, Peter, please give everyone a good explanation as well as to how you guys are deploying AI and what you guys are doing.
So yeah, I mean, I'll let Daniel kind of come in on some of the technical components of it, but I think the fundamentals for us, and it's really interesting to hear the other guys as well and their application of it. And I think that, one thing that's going to be defining over the next few months, and I'm seeing it relentlessly, is how many people are actually genuinely using AI in an innovative way to that's proprietary. They're actually doing something themselves and applying it themselves in a way that is different, differentiates them from other people. And then there are those who are just using it as a tool. And we're going to, I think it's going to phase out over time where these people are going to get exposed. But, I get a number of emails a day from people in the marketing space or the, financial space or whatever. And every single one has got the word AI somewhere in the text. And it can't be that everyone's AI-ified. It cannot be that everyone's an AI company, right? They're just not. And you can see it a mile off. And it's just a buzzword and everyone's just kind of using it. And they clearly just have a team on ChatGPT in the back end just doing some stuff for them. So for me, it's interesting how people are going to differentiate and position themselves. And I think the core thing for us is that we wouldn't exist. We're not actually, this is the thing we talk about. We're not a tech company, right? We're an entrepreneurial enablement company, platform, brand. That's what we do. So our outcomes are linked to how many entrepreneurs did we enable today? That's our number one metric, right? And the truth is that without AI, we cannot do it. So we have to use AI on the sheer premise that we cannot speed people up and give them a co-founder in their pocket without this technology, period. So we have to have it. How we use it and the where we're going to be innovative with it, I'll let Daniel fill in the gaps on that. And the second thing is the kind of use of AI and Web3 when it comes to deploying capital. And again, Web3 alone and that space alone would not work for us. We need the AI element to do that effectively and, support people in the right way. So for us, it's a necessity. And we're born out of that capability rather than, kind of taking it and leveraging it. Without it, we'd kind of be nothing really.
Rick, how many more questions still to go and how much time? Because I don't want to bore the audience too much. And I also want to give the other panelists time to come in if we're going to talk about anything else as well.
I think this is a very important piece, so feel free to take your time, and we'll probably seep a little bit over into the time, but we'll give everybody their shout outs as well. No worries about that. But yeah, I would love for you to take this one.
Yeah, but mostly where I like to play is at the intersection of tech and finance, right? So I am very interested, and I'm still like ruminating on what Pradeep said at the very beginning about two things in the investment space, his two very particular aspects, and what my opinion is on that. So I'll try and circle back to that if I can with time. But the obviously the key thing for us across all the stages of getting someone from idea to a live company, idea, design, execution, accelerate. There are different technologies which we're using at different stages of each part of this. Of course, the very first part is making sure that they understand as a user with their own idea how they are going to and we predict perform as an idea in the marketplace, and that goes across a variety of different factors. All those factors are scored using our own models. We have a mixture of language models and also our own in-house scoring models as well across different domains, different industries. We have different industries which will have more knowledge in the beginning, of course, and then we will develop those out as we go forward. Then the platform turns into an assisted platform, sort of like a Duolingo style environment, and within there we have the direct capability to offer products and services hyper personalized to each individual. So then there are interfaces, chat interfaces that allowing the people to do search and selection, but then also pro offering on an agentic basis. This is what we believe you need, being proactive. So those are these are the kind of things that we will be using in order to take people from this very first step all the way through to like this evolutionary point where at scale we can have many, let's say hundreds of thousands or even millions of users going through a pipeline. That will be the entry point. We won't get that many people coming out the back, although according to our thesis, we do think that the world is changing and the world of employment is definitely changing. The reasons why people will have to start their own company will become more apparent as AI starts to eat certain jobs, right? In certain sectors. We're already seeing it in customer service in East Asia. Unfortunately, people are losing a lot of work there, but it's going to filter up the chain. It's going to be more admin, and then definitely sales and outreach and things like this are starting to get eaten. So we want to try to push and promote the idea that people can and should start their own thing and there will be a lot of people doing it. So the AI assists on that point. And then for us on the co-funder side is how do we perform some of the items which Pradeep was talking about at the very beginning, which is understanding whether or not things are good opportunities or bad opportunities. We do have this view that we think there's a large amount of what we could call like existing trad venture capital, traditional venture capital, has quite a lot of problems around where money is raised, where money is deployed, who it's deployed to. This is like geographies, but then also there are bases on, let's say, male, female, and then also the backgrounds and a whole bunch of other items as well. So we want to try to really push down on this idea that the opportunity set should be truly global. And so if we're going to try and do that, what kind of things should we be looking for? And I don't know if Pradeep's ever come across this most recent research, but there's a lot of people who are now looking at what are the signals which really help us identify who the standout great founders are. And the recent study went through like 16,000 founders. They found, well, they were using 7 binary signals. And what they found is that this truly great founder score has 0 correlation with the majority of what VCs are looking for. Things like working at blue chip tech companies and Ivy League universities, right? They actually tend more to someone speaking large number of languages, or like this really sort of rebellious or unpredictable behavior, like starting to code at a very young age, or let's say quitting a safe tech job to go do something weird for a period, right? These signals are more actually useful and predictive in determining things of success. And so we're going to try and utilize a lot of this type of interactive scoring analysis behavior when we go through the enablement part of our platform, understanding the entrepreneur, who are they completely. This is areas of like personality assessments, but then further interactive understanding, as much information as the user wants to give. And then you can overlay that on their entrepreneurial journey. Like this is what they had to do in order to start their traction, to get their idea to being live. Where are they on that? Are they hitting those milestones and timeframes in a quicker way? If so, then this should be somebody that, you know, would be a standout because our fund is obviously only investing at pre-seed and seed. So as Pradeep said, that, you know, some of the other factors which traditional VCs are looking at maybe not relevant, but then also they're getting eaten away by the AI wave, right? And this technology push that's happening. So those are just kind of, that's a lot there, but that's how we're thinking about in the 2 separate areas of our company. We've got what we're calling the entrepreneurial enablement, the IRP, idea realization platform, and then there's also an idea funding platform, right? But they go hand in hand in our view as this new world order, I guess, is coming together.
Thanks, Daniel. All right, we're indeed 1 minute over, and I'm going to take full responsibility for that. It's too much yapping from my end always. But I would love to give the 2 speakers that are still here a quick minute of shout out, as well as the guys from Ideal as well, to talk about how people can get involved. I've asked everyone, and I see some of them. The projects are in the audience, so it's relatively easy for you guys to go ahead and have a look at everyone that was here today. But yeah, would love to hear it from you guys as well. How can people get involved? Anything interesting that you guys are doing? Maybe let's quickly start with Play AI, because I know that you guys just launched, or was it Kaito or Cookie? I didn't quite remember, but there's some announcements coming out there. So please take it away.
Yes, sir. And yes, we did launch at the InfoFi campaign with Kaito. And to be honest, the next 2 weeks is going to be insane for Play AI. You definitely want to keep an eye out for what we're going to post. We just put out a teaser for it right now, but you're going to see more about it from tomorrow and over the next 2 weeks. And how you can participate will be very obvious from it, but outside of all of that, there are already some ways that you can be part of the community. Like we have got the Play Hub, which is where you do all this workflow orchestration. It's already live, and you can sign up and you can start using some workflows, or you can just be part of our community across Discord and X. and it's a huge community that's very vibrant and it's always growing. And you're welcome to, just vibe there or contribute as you can. So yeah, that's pretty much about what is coming up for us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. Lumera, I see you guys reconnected. Please take it away.
Yeah, just kind of, wanted to thank everybody for their time, and partaking in this space. Really appreciate all of that. And I just wanted to leave everybody with, I guess, some information about, what we're up to. So we're currently on testnet, mainnet launching very soon. That means there's going to be a lot of activation activities going on. So, got to follow us on Twitter, our Discord. All our links are, can be found on our Twitter page. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of airdrops coming. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Really cool. I also know that you guys got your own separate AMA. So everyone that's interested, please feel free to tune in for that one. Is it today or tomorrow?
It's on Friday. So
Friday?
yeah, we just made the announcement. So be on the lookout for that.
Cool. Awesome. Really cool. All right, Freddie. Thank you so much for being here today, man. I really enjoyed your unique take on the AI topic. Pi3 is in the audience now, so people can go check it out. Yeah. Anything that you'd like to add?
Well, first, Peter and Daniel, what you were describing really resonates. I wish you the best of luck. It's especially what Daniel said towards the end, looking for the characteristics of the founders that defy the norms, because we all talk about the exceptional founders, Steve Jobs dropping out of college, Bill Gates dropping out of Harvard, and Zuckerberg quitting in the middle of his term and going on to found great companies. And that is celebrated but never emulated, because we actually don't want in the VC world non-conformists. So it's kind of ironic that we celebrate exceptionalism, but then for the very average conformist behaviors. And I do think that what you're talking about, the 16,000 characteristics, they're often it's kind of like Moneyball, if you remember the movie. You look at all the wrong factors and we complain that we don't win.
This is me.
No, I'm still here, but I'm hoping Pradeep's
Still
going to come
here.
back.
I think he might have dropped.
You're
here.
on Moneyball. Tell us more.
I think he's back. Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh no.
I shared too soon, didn't I? Typical Twitter rug here. It happens. It happens.
Blame Elon or don't blame Elon at the risk of being cancelled.
It's not enough engineers. I'm just gonna say not enough engineers. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't hear me now, so I'll go back.
It's okay.
If you hear me, okay, I'll carry on.
No, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I think ironically you're being blocked by AI somewhere.
Yes,
Elon's AI is
obviously.
getting stuck in there.
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard what I said. Congratulations to Peter and Daniel for what they were, their thesis, and I really support the notion of looking at data, not bias, to selecting founders, and that's wonderful. Anything I can do to help, let me know. Coming to Pi3, we are very excited by where we are. Unlike many projects, we've been very focused on driving demand, and we've been able to conjure up significant demand drivers, both in terms of government and professional client base, which really cares about ultimately doing their job better. So we don't sell into the trading, gaming, DeFi space. We sell into the real, utility and demand space, and we're getting traction. So what we are doing next week is we are launching our Deepin offering, which is really crucial to serving these clients that we are gathering up. So there is a pretty big announcement coming next week, which allows anyone to effectively become a Pi3 host. And it's kind of like getting into Ethereum mining before everybody got to know Ethereum. So in many ways, we are launching our AI mining, AI inference machine next week, and will be available for anyone to acquire and run, and something that I think will really help us decentralize AI and actually bring it to the masses, not just keep it in the playground of Web3 or AI enthusiasts. So look out for that. Big news coming next week, and I hope you'll all find a way to participate in what the future holds.
Love
Very
it.
cool.
Being here, man. Daniel, take it away, man. Sorry for cutting you off.
No. Peter, you want to jump on this? Round up.
Yeah. So like for us, hey, just get follow us on X, please, Twitter. We have a whole bunch of links on there, various ways to kind of track what we're doing. We have a very exciting announcement in the next couple of days. Our first product is really ready, and we're very excited to kind of push that out. It's our fast feasibility product, which is free and is native to your phone, and you can chuck ideas in 24 hours a day, and it will give you a quick score on initially what our AI thinks of your idea to try and validate it and ignite the spark in you to do something with it. So that's kind of coming, and we have our token launch very, very soon as well. Following that, jump on our Discord, get chatting on there. That'll be the first place we announce when we go live with that. And that token is super, super, super important because, speaking to what some of the other guys in the panel have said about democratization and access, that's what this token is all about. And it's about giving people a real vote when it comes to what ideas we support and how we structure and build our technology going forward. So, yeah, just get on it and follow us. And I know there's a lot of stuff and a lot of projects out there, but trust me, you won't regret being part of what we're doing.
Fantastic. Yeah, we also got the Zillion and the community rewards live. So if you're listening here and it sounds like fun, make sure to join the Discord as well. All right, guys. Quickly want to thank the panel. Really, really a pleasure speaking with all of you today. Very knowledgeable about your niches and what you guys are working on. So it was great hearing all of your POVs. If you guys are interested in what they're doing, please go ahead and give them a follow. And don't forget that we have this space every week. So this concludes the panel discussion. And now we're just going to dive into the Q&A session. Everyone on the panel, I know you guys are busy. So please feel free to say your goodbyes and drop off as we stick around with our community to answer some questions and distribute the rewards for this space.
And thank you to the panel as well. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, love your projects, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah. Really appreciate you all. Thanks for showing up.
Cool. So how are we going to do this? Are we going to dive into the messages and have a look and see what questions we've got on there?
Let's do it. Sounds like a plan.
So I think Victor actually put something on our Discord, and I think we made a promise that we would definitely address these questions. I think they're outstanding questions. I think they're super strong. I mean, maybe if I take one and Daniel takes the other one. So I'll let Daniel do number 2 because that's crypto related. So I think when it comes to the question, how can AI let communities, not just rich people, decide who gets funding? I mean, that is the whole point, right? And I think that like any technology that exists out there, different people are going to have different use cases and purposes of how they want to apply and use that technology. It's interesting looking at the different models that exist and why they exist. That constant spat between, Elon and what Chat and OpenAI are doing at the moment. The fact that it was supposed to be open source and it's not. It's supposed to be for everybody and it's not. There's a whole bunch of different models that exist. And I think the fact that AI is becoming so rapidly something that people can manage and host themselves, the models have progressed significantly over time. And the fact that even the absolute base models and models that are a few months old are still extremely powerful and utilizable means that I think it's inevitable over time that AI is going to become something everyone uses. Is it always going to be equal? No, I don't think there's any technology that has ever been equal. Those that have the power and the money are going to try and control and manipulate. But I think people will be in a much stronger position to push back over time. I actually think the challenge is going to be the hardware, the access to hardware, the access to connections, the speed at which you can, utilize AI, I think is going to be one of the biggest challenges. And certain parts of the world just don't have that connectivity even today. But then, you get enterprise like Starlink and various other things that are making, super speeds when it comes to data transfer much more accessible. So I think there is an explosion of people trying to make AI become more community focused, more community led, and more accessible to communities. So I think that's one dimension of that. And as to how it lets people get funding, I mean, I think that there's a degree of impartiality, right? So I think that's what we're trying to make sure, that the AI that we're building has an impartial and objective view on funding. But what Daniel said earlier about outliers is incredibly important for us. So we're looking at making sure the weighting of how we assess a founder and their ideas is equally balanced between what we call the art and the science of an idea. So the science being the application of it in the real world. How does this function? How's it going to work? How much money do you need? How many users do you need? How many people do you have to engage over what time frame? Things you can measure. But then the art of the idea is all about innovation, and how much of this idea is a breakthrough. How much of it has innovation within it? Can it be adapted over time? Is it resilient? Based on how innovative it is, and does it capture the interest of other people who are going to use it? So for us, balancing AI so it's not just doing rudimentary, assessment based on black and white functionality is what we're trying to push against, and we are getting success there. Like, we are finding that the AI is able to balance it. So yeah, maybe I'll let Daniel jump on the other one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And these are good questions, right? Like, these are excellent questions, actually. So thanks, Victor. So the second one is then, if I have a simple idea, let's say a crypto idea, what's one simple way AI can help me start today? Well, I guess it would depend upon the very specific application of the crypto itself. In general, AIs to help you start your company, your business, can do a number of really new and interesting and different things, right? Like, it can do, let's say, targeted outreach. You can have AI personas which are mapping, identifying high value communities, members, influencers, developers, these types of things. It can automate those parts of your go-to-market and growth. You can also look at community sentiment analysis across things like Discord, Telegram, X. It can help to understand whether or not the feedback and the commentary is positive, negative, or otherwise, or where there are questions or concerns, things like this, right? But then so that's really around like go to market type things. But then clearly the operation and efficiency stuff, what I've mentioned before, all of that stuff, I won't really speak into that too much because it's kind of obvious, right? Replacement of systems to do things easier. If it's very particular to crypto, I would say you can do some things around you can have like things like risk dashboards. So you can have AI to monitor things like liquidity pools and smart contracts. It can understand the behavior of your token in the market, in the wild, right? So that would be when your token is live. It would also be able to work, for instance, on things like DAO projects as well. So we will be considering this for ourselves also, to help understand and to help build out, firstly, the support for proposal mechanisms, filing, voting, recording, prompting users to actually do the voting, and then in some cases agentically implementing some of these decisions as well, if they're say on-chain actions. So I think there are some sort of like easy things, and there would be the more complicated things. One simple way, just on anything AI, if it's not just a crypto company, if it's any company, I would say definitely jump into our fast feasibility, and it will help you understand some of your key risks, right? So things that you may not have thought about. And what the AI will do is it will look at the totality of your idea. So not just the crypto part, because in some ways the crypto part is just an infrastructure part, unless there are some very key specific usages, right, which I would hope there would be. But there are many other things around the idea that need to be considered and assessed. So just the risk analysis, right, that's really useful for people at the very beginning. And then after that, it's everything that is execution, I would say.
I think to tack onto that, something that's really important for people to understand. I mean, it's because we're obviously in the ideas business, right? And I think what people need to understand about any idea, whether it's in crypto or otherwise, is that if people get too wedded to that initial idea, it's not a wise approach, right? So we want people to be committed to what they're thinking in terms of an outcome. But if you're committed to one way or one dimension of doing something, and you're not willing to adapt it or adjust it over time to make it successful, then there's a chance that idea is going to fail because people are kind of, focused on what they first thought, and no idea survives first contact when it comes to assessing it. So the way that we look at things is that we're trying to unfail people. And one of the core fundamentals of unfailing people is to be honest about that initial idea from the very beginning, and scoring it in the right way. So for us, it's like, how can we honestly do that and be in a position where what we're saying to people is, look, either that idea needs work, or we're saying to people, just don't go down that road, right? Because the chance of failure is extremely high. But that's the belief that people have. Sometimes they're only going to have one good idea in their lifetime, or even one idea in their lifetime, and that's just fundamentally not true. So what we're trying to say to people is, kind of get creative and start thinking and give it more time and come back with another idea that is more fundamentally likely to work. And then once you've got that base of belief, then the rest of it is everything Daniel said about how you build on it and what you do, what actions you take to make it happen, fundamentally. So I think that's really important for people to kind of think about when it comes to ideation and pushing out ideas in the first place. So just checking through, I mean, I'm not sure how many more questions we've got. Have we got anything that we've lined up in terms of questions that we want to kind of go through?
Yeah, is there anything we didn't cover, Rick, from our initial thinking?
I mean, we do have 67 comments. Did we already buzz through all of them?
I've been browsing through. If anybody wants to put their hand up and ask a question to us live, please go ahead. That would be awesome. I'd be very happy to do that. And
we do have.
Just a note.
Actually,
you do?
Yeah, we do.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I've been on Discord VC voice channel last couple of days with some community folks, talking to them. So I'm hopeful we're going to get some more people chatting. Come on.
And now Twitter is bugging again. It's taking forever to pull them up.
No worries.
There it is. We got him, I think. Yes. All right. Victor, welcome, and Dual Bits. I don't know if you guys can speak, but welcome to the panel. Nice to see you guys.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
We can hear you. Yep, go ahead.
I want to ask about the Tinder player XP on Zilli. It's been locked for some time now.
Which one is this?
The Tinder player XP on Zilli. One of the tasks to claim the Tinder player XP.
Aha. Okay. For that, for sure, inside the Discord there is a channel, and one of the mods will help you on that. If it's not been addressed, we'll make sure we get it addressed.
No, the task is deleted already. Like the game is nowhere to be found anymore.
Oh, the game is still there. It's in the Ideal Tinder channel. So if you go to the voice channel, at the bottom on the left inside Discord, and then you click on the activities, then you'll be able to get into the Ideal Tinder activation game, which is the game where people are submitting ideas and then randomized, it gets pushed back to the community to also evaluate their ideas. And we have a leaderboard system, and also for the very best ideas, we are reaching out direct to some of the users as well to have a little chat with them.
Oh, not that. I've done that already. I'm talking about Tinder player XP. I've submitted so many ideas already.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know, my friend. We'll have to dig into it. So please do go into the channel on the Discord, and we'll make sure someone comes back to you. This is Victor, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. No worries.
GM everyone. I liked the way you guys explained stuff. It was simple and with clarity. And okay, I have one more question based on the discussion. You guys were saying that you can use AI, like in our startup. Let's say I have an idea, I can use AI to do some things in my startup. So I'm asking, like, have AI reached these points? Let me say, for example, if I'm a lawyer and I have a case in court, then I get my fact, then I put it to the AI, use the AI to do analysis. Have AI reached the point whereby the analysis will be accepted in the court? Like, I mean, acceptance by institution, or maybe in a hospital, a doctor can use AI to, do some helping task. And like, is it because most startups can be related to this kind of institution? So the analysis or stuff gotten from this AI is it have you reached the level that is accepted by these institutions? That's my question.
This is a very good question. This is like the future of the world type question. I like it.
Yeah, we should have our other co-founder on the panel, right, who's a lawyer, so he'd be able to help a lot more with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know the answer, Peter. I don't think so far that if you think about an AI as like literally representing a person, right? Like it's I don't know, like a company, or it's like a body, or it's like a society. Some of these legal definitions, right? Yet the output is not directly accepted by either a court or a medical institution. There would still be a requirement at the moment for a professional to be in the mix, right? And part of the reason for that is, of course, the impacts that it could have to people, individuals, and then also like wider companies or countries, even, right, or societies, if the outcome of the AI is incorrect at the moment. So this is part of like safeguarding. This is ethical decision making. This is also a regulatory thing at the moment. I think it will be a while before we get there. But what I can say is that in these industries, do we need, or do we think all of the same number of people in exactly the same job levels, right? So the same job structures, hierarchy, and the total number of people in, say, the medical field, and then also in, say, the legal field. I think the answer is no. I think they're going to change over time, and I think we're already seeing that with it's unfortunate, like very low level say entry jobs in let's say an example of the legal industry. There was a recent quote by one of the most senior people, one of the biggest law firms in America, and they've stopped hiring people for the next 2 years at the very early entry level job role to come into the legal profession in their firm. Because what they're doing is they're saying, we're going to test and see how well we can do things without doing any hiring, using only AI, right, inside their companies. So that's obviously a little bit scary. It's also in some ways transformational, and maybe that's, depending on your personal opinion, maybe it's for the betterment of the world. If there are less lawyers, I say that in joking, please don't sue me, lawyers. But like what I'm saying
No,
is,
it's true,
like,
man. That's so true.
It's all industries, right, are going to be affected by this. But I would also just caveat on the flip side of that and say, don't worry. I don't see like a doom scenario for the world with AI. I think those people who were doing those jobs, and maybe let's say that their jobs are being taken by AI, right, and they're not being hired or they're being replaced, those people will go on to do something else, right, and they will do it in a more interesting way that the AI probably won't be able to tackle some of these areas, right? And so I think there will be a shift there, and then the people who remain in some of these industries, they will be much more productive, right? On a per person basis, they'll be able to get more done because they will have more tools to get things done. So productivity in general should increase, right, across economies. So I don't think net AI is a bad thing. This is a personal opinion, not a company one, but like we should still be positive. And then the thing you're talking about, where is it going to be accepted in court, and is it going to be accepted by, I don't know, like the hospital for like a medical decision on a patient as an outcome from an AI? That type of stuff, we're still some way away for sure. But it has been, the information has still been given to a human, and it's improving the human as we stand today. Like the humans are getting better. We're getting more productive as we use these tools.
I'm just going to throw my hat in a ring on that one. I'm going to say a solid yes, that AI will be accepted as a decision maker when it comes to arbitration in court and when it comes to making decisions in hospitals. And I don't mean tomorrow, but I certainly mean in the next X number of years. And the reason for that, I think, is accuracy, right? So, I mean, I have this thing about self-driving cars, right? I would rather, I don't know about you guys, how many of you guys drive, right? But on the roads, I make mistakes and humans make mistakes. I would much rather sit in the back of a vehicle that is not making mistakes and is efficient, isn't over braking, is taking the most efficient route because it's talking to all the other vehicles on the road. Most of the time in a car, I want to get from A to B. So I would trust a self-driving vehicle, and it's probably safer than, a sleepy human sat behind the wheel that doesn't brake in time. When it comes to being operated on, would I rather an AI go in laser focused on the one area that needs to be removed and it knows what it's doing, or do I trust a human to do it? And I think the realities are we've only ever had humans in hospitals because that's all we've ever had. But now I think that AI is diagnosing way faster in a number of areas and is performing surgery, not necessarily on all humans, but certainly on a number of test cases when it comes to efficiency. And we're all going to prefer the AI surgeon over the human. And we're going to turn around, like I said earlier on in this conversation, and go, do you remember when people used to do surgery? How crazy was that, right? Because they got it wrong. So I think to answer your question in terms of acceptance, Victor, we don't know the answer fully, as in, is it fully accepted in certain countries? I think the answer is generally across the board, no, not yet. Is it going to be? I think the answer is absolutely yes. Just like every other technology has been adopted, as long as it can prove to be, accurate X% of the time, then I think we're gonna, it's just going to be standard across the world. And I think it might also create a unifying and more democratic way of making decisions, certainly in law, to whatever degree. But like anything, humans always try and circumvent that, right? And try and fix things. So we're going to be seeing people trying to fix the AI or influence the AI or try and game the system in the same way that people always have done to try and get outcomes that they want and their priorities. So yes, I think that is the answer. I think we lost Rick, Daniel. Was that fair to say?
Yep, that's no issues. We can run the show.
Cool. I'm not sure if there's any more questions in the chat. I'm not seeing anything specific. Let's have a look. No particular questions. I guess we can talk about a couple of other areas, Daniel, if you want to.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Which areas?
All right, cool. So I think that one of the questions that we were supposed to have on the panel that we didn't kind of cover is the fundamental flaws that exist today in the industry and things that are going to be dealt with over time. So what are your current concerns about AI in terms of capability, what it can or can't do? Do we think that people have already too high expectations of AI capabilities over and above what they should have? And what are we doing to try and address that with our setup?
Yeah, that's a great thought experiment, right? So here's my highlight, right? Whilst I really do love everything that is capability of AI in the future, I think we have to be very careful about what it is AI can actually do right now. And of course, there are limitations, right? I would say that there are, if we look at the large language models, which is what ChatGPT is and others, these are essentially very, very large auto completers, right? So they're text auto completers. They're looking through all of the data that they have, and they are then doing a best guess about what the next natural set of words should be, right? That's in its simplest form. There are then layered on top of that many other steps around where we want to get to logical reasoning. So there are pathways which help to understand quantitative elements in more detail that can do retrieval in real time from current information and then use that to potentially update the information as it's being processed and then potentially perform multiple searches. So breaking down tasks into iterative steps. Those things are all great, but we are seeing for sure that the steps in between each of the different models as they're being released now, let's say this year and maybe later last year, the jumps in performance are getting smaller, right? So the jumps are not as big as we have seen them before in the technology capability. So the question is at what point do we get to, I hope we don't get to plateau, because I think there's still so much more to do, but then just a general reduction in the speed of the increase. And what do we need to do as AI technology developers in order to help improve the speed of the development? And so what I'm thinking about here is things like what DeepSeek did with their speed up sort of like little hacks, not the fact that they somehow got all the information from another competitor. But I just think what people need to be aware of, that there are current limitations, but then there's also a huge amount of research and development that's happening to build new things, right? And I think those new things are going to be really exciting.
And do we think that, like, because one of the challenges is obviously LLMs are built on a massive scrape of internet data. Do we think that going forward there's going to be a lot more value placed on AI's interaction with humans and what people say to the AI and their inputs and kind of adding knowledge, right? So I think that anybody that gets a lot of human interaction, for instance, how many people are inputting into ChatGPT right now, and how much of what we're putting in terms of prompts and questions is AI learning from? Because surely that's new information and new data, right? And certainly when it comes to new ideas as well, if new ideas are going into the mix and that AI is forced to think and process, how much of that information is going in? Is that now being used? So I think there's a challenge based on the hallucination side of things, and hitting a plateau when it comes to information. But what's in our minds and what we say to each other on a day-to-day basis doesn't exist out there. So it's going to be interesting how much value is placed on that information, and in fact, the trade and being paid for your interaction and your attention. We think that's going to become a whole economy, right?
Yes, exactly. For sure. Like, so I just, off the top of my head, the weekly active users of ChatGPT is something like 800 million, right? People are going in, and of those people, there is an option that you can do your prompting in a, I don't know what the official term of it is, but it's like protect your data, right? So your information and your data queries are not being used inside their own recursive like model improvement processes. But I would suggest that a very small percentage of people are doing that. I know that for myself, I don't do that mostly, if I'm using that on a personal basis. So yeah, they're getting a lot of info, right? And that's definitely one area and way in which they are improving their models. But there will be, I think there's a real opportunity for, I guess, human interaction mechanisms where it's operating in areas of expertise such that it can help, I don't know, somehow have a two-way conversation where there is information being discussed, assessed, and categorized, and then it would have to be at some level of scale to get statistically significant inputs being correct. But there are definitely ways around it, and then there will be flywheels, right? So the example here is that Tesla has the most amount of data of anyone when it comes to the training of full self-driving, right? That's because their cameras record the data, which is then used to improve the models, which then get tested, which then record the data, which improve the model, will get tested and so that flywheel, which is happening for them, means that they are by far and away like the input leaders, right, in terms of full self-driving. Elon's then building robots, the Optimus robot, and that's going to have vision and human interaction, text, right, microphone, speaker type thing. So will that be one of the next things, and will it just sit around and listen to conversations? Who knows? Potentially in the future, yeah. And the Optimus isn't too far away, I don't think. Maybe like 5 years.
Yeah, and I think that's another whole area of discussion, right? And I know we're actually miles away from our co-founder topic, right? But I think that how comfortable people are going to be with certain things, right? So I think that over time, people were comfortable to share their data, their information with social platforms and or the wider internet at large, right? In exchange for the free usage of those platforms and the networks that they could build off the back of it, and potentially some advertising. And then that trade started to warp over time as data became something people cared about more because it was exploited and X, Y, Z. Now we're kind of pumping all of our thoughts and dreams and ideas into these LLMs. Again, I think there's going to be safeguards that come in to rein that back in and what they're allowed to use that for and what they do with it. And certainly, chats and various other things going live and public is not cool. And that's obviously going to drive regulation and various other things. Another whole layer is having a microphone that sits around all day listening to what you say. I mean, I don't know if you noticed this on ChatGPT, but if you go into the speech mode, it asks you whether it just wants to be put on a dormant, listen to everything state on your handset, and then just listen to what you're saying and then jump in if it can help you. I mean, I just think that's bizarre. And the answer to that is a flat no. Why would I allow that to happen? Who knows what's going on with that information. But maybe the world is going to get comfortable with it and be totally happy and trust the AI so much that they see the value in sharing that kind of information. To be honest with you, I find it shocking in 2025 that that's even a function that's allowed on an app, right, and even exists. But obviously it does. And so, yeah, the future of this stuff is all going to be about value and whether it adds value to your life or not, and whether the AI is actually truly something that you trust and rely on. And I think that to some degree, one of the guys speaking earlier on the panel, being able to create these barriers and segment what you use it for and what it pushes to public spaces or corporate spaces is going to become the way, where you have a firewall between your own personal AI, which sits with you, possibly on your device, that people can't access, that's kind of locked, and then that chooses what it shares externally. So there'll probably be layers put in place for that kind of stuff. I don't know what you think of that, Daniel, but
Yeah, 100%. I was thinking it through as you were saying it. If you've got always on mic recording input to an AI model, then at some point, then you probably have your own somehow defensive version of it in order to decide about what is going to be allowed and not allowed, and that some sort of interaction between your version of an AI model and a larger model in the future. Yeah, why not, right? And I think this is the kind of thing that we would encourage everyone to think about, who either listens to the space or comes in contact with our projects, that there's definitely transformational technologies out there. Having said that, if you're thinking about starting a company and you're thinking about how am I going to come up with something super, super, super innovative, my advice there would be the most common form of innovation comes when you're taking two different things and you put them together in a way in which nobody else has even thought about it, right? And then you just come up with a solution, right? So it's not like it's such a big technology revolution. It is this kind of like incremental change, and that can be really powerful, right? Like there's many examples of that, where how people have done things in that manner. And you, as a user, if you're hearing this, will probably then be able to think about things in your personal domain experience, people, product expertise, country, that might be useful, right? And that's where we would love to definitely engage and hear from you.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see all of this stuff evolve over time, certainly on an AI front. And I think that it really is day by day, week by week, when it comes to capabilities, trust, and kind of the reliability of these things as well. And I think that we're overwhelmingly optimistic about this stuff. We think that it's going to be, at least 80% adding massive value to humanity, and it's going to certainly add huge value to what we're trying to do to enable people over time. And there's always going to be some kind of comeback from it in kind of balance. So, okay, Daniel, so what do we want to do? Carry on with it? Any more questions, or how are we looking?
Well, I think we've been speaking for quite a while. We've got some definitely hardcore followers, which is great. And then maybe we should just like wrap up where we are, and then maybe we'll just highlight we'll be doing this again next week.
Yeah, 100%. So, guys, we're doing this space every week, same time, covering as many interesting topics as we possibly can. If there are things you guys want us to talk about, or you'd like to engage with us on certain subjects, then please jump on our channels, Discord being the most active, and we'll be, making sure that we include all of that in what we discuss. So thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
And then I'm being prompted about winners as well.
Yeah, so we're going to DM people directly on that basis. But we're basically looking to reward people for the most interesting questions or engagement. We have had some of that, but obviously Victor stands out as somebody who's put a valid question forward and we've answered it. So that will certainly earn him a reward for that.
Nice.
And I think on the next space, we're going to be a lot more explicit about what people can do to earn those rewards. I know it's a listening channel, but we definitely want you guys to keep interacting with us going forward. As a brand, we're wide open to engaging with you guys and making you as successful as we can be, because we think everyone should be an entrepreneur. So that's what it's all about.
Cool.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We're going to jump off now. Wishing you all the best.
Yeah, thanks very much, everyone. Cheers.